This is MMF Cronos, 1 year overview reading for the year of 2025. That's Finance. It's currently April 11th, 2024, 10:25 a.m. Eastern Time. Cronos at the time of this reading, 0.006255, that's USD. The shuffle video that we're playing for you in the lower left corner of the screen was created on February 27, 2024, 2:40 p.m. Eastern Time. So the overall theme and behavior for MMF in the year 2025, there's a notable rally that will offer opportunity to open up a short position or close long positions. It's crossed with multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance. So my sense based on that combination right there is that we rally into key resistance probably several times, and that's key resistance on like a multi-year scale, and we rally into it, and then at that resistance would be opportunity to close longs and open up shorts. We might see it more than once. We probably see it more than once based on the multiple failed attempts to break the key resistance and the interference card. Behavior around the high is high. We'll have a period of sideways rotation establishing support, and then off of that support there'll be a big move taking us into the high, and obviously those rallies into the high will be where we want to open up those short positions and close long positions. And then behavior around the low, there's an important price level on a multi-year scale that will be acting as the low for the year. Now, I'm going to get into the week-by-week chart behavior, time the highs and the lows to the week, and also get into the best trades and all that stuff. But before I do that, I want to make sure that everybody's aware. The whole purpose of the channel is to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. We do that by following the rule of karma for the channel. You go to the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, and 5% of the profits from every profitable trade utilizing this information should be donated forward to one of these charities, or pick a charity of your choosing as long as you're paying 5% forward, and then 5% should be sent back to the channel through one of these links. If you're international, you can use Wise or you can use YouTube tips. And that leaves you at 90%. Make sure to spend that 90% out of love. As long as you follow those rules, you follow the rule of karma for the channel, the universe considers you an angel investor. It's going to send it back to you tenfold for following through. Blessings to all my angel investors. Let's get back into it. All right, so it looks like there's a bit of a rally in early January based on that orange correlation to the Princess of Wands. But my sense is that probably doesn't last very long, and we turn into a period of volatility in the early part of January with a sharp drop that'll stand out in that period of volatility. So in early January, it looks like there is a high side thus far that we sell off from in a period of volatility with a sharp drop there. Behavior around the January low, we should have a near overbought crest that we sell off from through multiple support levels into the low. Behavior around the January high, we have a prominent move on a 1 year chart scale into the high, and then a full retracement of that move back down, making like a triangular shape on the chart. The later part of January, we have a decline to and through support to meet another support. This is on a multi-day scale. We rotate sideways along that support and then break down through more supports after that. There is a highest high, or higher highest high, I should say, in the early part of February, it looks like. So there's likely February low is likely in the earlier part of February, like the decline out of January into February, and then there should be a rally into a high off of the low, a fast move higher off of the low, rallying into a high there in like the second week of February, and then we decline with consecutively lower spikes up on the way down from that high into another trough or close to a low there in probably the fourth week of February. So we do like sideways rotation from February into March. It looks like at some point there's a little bit of a bullish move at the end of February because we turn a resistance level on a 1 year chart scale into a support level, and then we rotate sideways along that as we move into March. It turns more into like price swinging, but still sideways in the early part of March. We have a lower price level in the first week of March than we had at the trough in the last week of February, and that trough in the early part of March, it forms with a sharp drop within that period of back and forth sideways price swinging. There's a near overbought crest that we sell off from pretty notably in the second week. We flatten out near the March low. There's also a notable reversal that'll stand out on a 1 year chart scale near the March high, and then a very auspicious opportunity in the later part of March. The full card usually indicates a highest high or a lowest low. In a lot of cases, either that or just some like really big move, like a gap up or a gap down. It indicates an opportunity that's like an improbable opportunity. You wouldn't see it very often. Something that's unexpected or you wouldn't expect to happen takes place there. And so the full card corresponding to a low signification, I'd say there's probably a pretty sharp drop into a year's low there. We probably see a lowest low thus far. Like we go from a lowest low thus far early in January to a lowest low thus far on the cusp of February, March into a lowest low period on the cusp of March, April. Now, before we go any further, all right, so normally at this point in the video, I'll review the prior year's reading, but this is the first reading we've done on MMF Cronos, so we don't really have anything to review it on. What I recommend you guys do is check out our website, Tarot for Traders. You don't have to wait until the end of 2025 to determine our accuracy. Just go check out some of our posts. It's free to log in, guys. It's free to set up an account and log in. And once you log in, you go to posts. And you can basically search by all of these different playlists. You can search by clicking here and typing in a ticker. I just want to point out to everybody how you can get a 1 year reading. We're running roughly a 98% average accuracy. You go to our website, tarotfortraders.com, hover over our services, click on SO Meta Posts. Guys, so what you get with the paid version, basically you get the timing of the best trades that we see, and also the type of chart behavior to look for as far as entry and exit into those trades. We look at any cross-reading congruencies that may be apparent there or present there in the reading as well, because those will help to give us an idea of where we are in the greater chart kind of scale. We talk about trades from a multi-year standpoint as well, and it's super valuable information, guys. Our 2023 readings, for the most part, we ran roughly a 98% average accuracy, predicting highs and lows to the week. So with that said, these are super underpriced. You won't find this information anywhere else. You go to our services, SO Meta Posts, scroll down to 1 year report, click here to order, specify the year you're interested in, and then put the crypto or ticker symbol. If it's crypto, please specify crypto. Add to cart. Really great way to support the channel. Much appreciation to everybody that does that. Again, you won't find this information anywhere else, my friends. With that said, let's get back into it. In early April, we have a failed attempt to break the key resistance on a multi-day scale, followed by a decline through key resistance on a multi-day scale. The low of April is within close time proximity to an important high on the 1-year chart scale. So I think we probably go from like this high in February into a low on the cusp of March, April, like straight into it. And then behavior around the highest high of April, we have a period of sideways rotation and a sharp drop that'll stand out in that period of sideways rotation. Matter of factly, we see the April, so we see the low in March as a lowest low. We rise and have a failed attempt to break through key resistance in early April and then fall back down into a low in April. It'll be like the same price level low. Hard to say if it's in early or late April because we've got this death card here indicating an important low. So it's somewhere, we'll go to a lowest low in March, rise, failed attempt to break through key resistance, fall back down and continue into the lowest low again there in April. Early May, we have a notable rally offering opportunity indicated by that orange, or at least the beginning of opportunity indicated by that orange. We have a notable rally in early May and a big move to the upside, right smacking like the middle of the second and third week to the upside, taking us to a high. A May high, and it'll be an unexpected move to the upside. In the midst of that, there's a trade opportunity I'm going to talk about in more detail in the paid version. And then the May low forms, there's an important resistance near the May low that we decline from and then probably return to, offering opportunity to position oneself, like to basically trade both directions around that resistance. And I'll talk about that in more detail again in the paid version. There's a significant decline on a 1-year chart scale to the downside in the later part of May. In early June, we have a resistance level that's highlighted that we failed to break through many times before. We've got that yellow correlation. So it's that multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance. There's a failed attempt to break through key resistance at the June high, and it'll look like technical chart behavior will lead us to believe that we're going to break out at that June high and continue higher, but instead we disappoint, turn around, and decline through key support. Off of the June low, there's a rally along a diagonal trend line, breaking through horizontal resistance to meet another resistance before pulling back to somewhere between those two price levels. And the later part of June is a sideways fluctuating decline that precedes a rally. So the June low is probably in the later part of June, and before we end June, we're probably rallying out of that low already, taking us into a peak in the early part of July. It'll be an important price level that we poke through momentarily, and then it looks like there's a pretty significant decline. There's price swings here in near the July low, and the unicursal indicating that there's a pretty sharp drop into the July low. And then in the later part of July, or starting in mid-July, we have this big move to the upside that increases with momentum as we move forward into the end of the month of July. We probably have 3 pokes through the same price level at a high for July in the early part of July, and off of that third poke, we have a sharp drop. We most likely see the July low more than once, based on the Dominion card being the price swing card in the low position there. So that rally that increases with momentum moving forward into the end of the month of July also offers more trade opportunity. I'll talk about it in more detail in the paid version. We decline pretty notably in early August. The August low forms when we decline to and through support on a multi-day scale to meet another support, and then we rotate sideways along that support. Big move in the later part, a lot of price change in the later part of August, and a lot of price change and volatility taking us into the August high. The August high is also within close time proximity to a prominent trough on the 1-year chart scale, and that ace of discs in the later part of August indicates a lot of price change. We'll probably have multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance here. On the cusp of August, September, we have a notable move to the upside in the very beginning of the first week. Another trade opportunity I'll talk about in more detail in the paid version. And in the early part of September, we're bumping along resistance sideways for the majority of that time. We might break through a few times and continue bumping along sideways, but the majority of the behavior should be bumping along sideways. We do sideways rotation at an important support level near the September high, and the September low forms when we have the halting of a bullish trend marked by a sharp decline through key support. The later part of September, a decline ends with a fast sudden move higher, and it looks like that fast sudden move higher is probably right on the cusp of September, October. Yeah, it's a little tricky here. Probably there's like a fake out to the downside on the cusp of September, October as well. So we have the ending of a bullish trend, or excuse me, the ending of a decline marked by a big move higher, and then there's a sharp drop. So I'll be careful. There's some whipsaw action here in the early part of October. We do have a high correlation, a very strong high correlation here for a highest high for the year, and significant trade opportunities. There's a fake out near these October highs, so it probably makes it look like we're going to go higher. And then there's 2 ways that this could play out. This is a little tricky. So the October highest high, or the highest high of the year in October, is a fake out. It could either be faking out, like making it look like we're going to go higher and then we decline pretty hard, or the decline could be this decline pretty hard before we move higher into a higher high in November. So it's either a higher high in November or it's the same high in November. But we have this big move to the upside, reaching for a distant resistance in the later part of October. That's after a sharp, big decline right in the middle of the month. And the October low forms after a decline through multiple support levels and multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance. There's like a minor trough on the cusp of October, November. There's a big move out of a minor trough on the cusp of October, November, taking us to reaching for a distant resistance, and we have another highest high. Like I said, either a higher highest high, like the highest of the year period, or it'll be the same high as the previous highest high. These 2 will be the highest of the year period. In either case, we decline pretty notably off of that high in early November. It's a pretty sharp decline, revisiting a support level that we met in the past as an opportunity. The Magus card indicating that there's a big move either into and or out of the November low. In the later part of November, we have a decline that increases with momentum moving forward in time. The October high actually forms when we have this rally along a diagonal trend line that ends with a fast sudden move higher, and then a breakdown through that diagonal trend line with increasing volatility as we decline on the way down. Pretty wild stuff going on here in November, because we go from like a highest high in October, November, into very likely another lowest low here at the in the first month of December. It's possible. It's not as strong a possibility as these 2. These are really where the lowest lows are most likely to be. We might see another one over here. It's possible, but that this is really the strongest location, and then there's a stronger possibility here than like all of these areas, but not quite as strong as over here. Either case, we have a U-shaped dip. Oh, okay, so right on the cusp of November to December, we have a big move starting out of a decline from the bottom of a range, moving all the way to the top of a range, and then that's a trade opportunity at the top of the range. I'll talk about in the paid version. There's a U-shaped dip that forms there with another peak about midway through the month. I think what happens is we decline with increasing with momentum moving forward out of November into a lowest low. There's a big move from the bottom of the range all the way to the top of a range, and then that turns into a U-shaped dip. Doesn't bring us back down to lows, but there's a U-shaped dip in there with another peak mid-month. Behavior around the lowest low for December, we have a period of sideways rotation that ends with a fast sudden move higher, and the December low is also within close time proximity to a prominent peak, so that really does make sense. The December high, we have kind of like a flattening out of volatility near the high, but the later part of December, we have a crest that we sell off from down to and through support. We do a U-shaped reversal below that support, come back and reuse that support, and then the sneak preview for 2026, we have a significant breakout on a multi-year scale in 2026. That's MMF Cronos for 2025. Let me know what you think by hitting that like button. As always, make sure to follow that rule of karma. Most very important for the channel. We're counting on you. You know where to go. You know what to do. Blessings to all my angel investors. I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay tuned if you got the paid version.